Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining Archangel Alts. I am Gordon Freeman, the Free Man, helping to lead you from the darkness into the light through the power of the crypto revolution. Yeah. So here we are for Market Watch for March 30th, 2019, 7:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do you know where your children are? I hope so. Good. So bring them too. They can watch this. It's a clean show. All right, so I was debating whether to do a market watch, but as I saw that things were headed where I was curious if they were going to go, I decided it was very important for us to have one. So first things first, and this probably won't need to be a very long one. I'm going to get a little bit all philosophical and idealistic at some point. But the main thing that I want you to see here with Bitcoin is that it is repeating a pattern that has proven to us time and time again. There's no guarantees about this, but when you see something that tends to repeat itself, then it's wake up and take notice kind of situation. So we are sitting at $80 million, 586,000 in USDT Tether. This is the dollar pegged to a stable coin called Tether USDT, and it holds the majority marketplace of stable coins. A lot of people hate it. There is no really good justification for that. If it does fail or prove to be any kind of nefariousness at some time in the future, I have absolutely zero loyalty towards this as a coin. But when you look at market capitalization and daily volume and tradability, volume, liquidity, it is the thing. PAX, USDC, USDS, USDS, and TUSD. They just are really not comparing to the capacity, the amount of stuff being did. So, so obviously, this has come down again from like $125 million ish on the Binance Exchange, trading against Tether, pegged to the dollar, and that is significant. Because every time we see a $20-30 million drop from the anything above 100 million to anything below 100 million, usually when it crosses that 80 million to 70 million, which it just dropped to 250,000 while I'm saying that sentence. So my intention here is to show you where my cursor is right there when it hits 79 million. When it starts to drop by a certain amount, that triggers a response in the electronics of the math on the exchange. And it is not just, people are selling Bitcoin to buy other things, or they're trading their Bitcoin for other things. They're doing that all the time. And there are slow times and there are fast times. That's not necessarily where all the volume buildup and liquidity shift comes from. Some of it is just the correlation between the value of one coin and the other, and the amount of trading at that rate. When that starts to decrease, it kind of triggers a shift from one thing to another. So without fully understanding, I don't think many people, if anybody, fully understands exactly how that correlation works. From, let's say you have Bitcoin at $4,000 and a coin that is worth a penny. Let's just say 0.0000200. And there's 1,000 BTC 24-hour volume worth of that coin being traded. Well, first of all, that the people that are trading it have that information in front of them, and they use that as a gauge of some sort, compared to the chart, compared to the indicators. Yep. What's your favorite kind of tater? An indicator tater. Who was that? So the correlation between how much a coin is being traded against Bitcoin and what Bitcoin's current value and the amount that it's being traded against everything will automatically connect those two things together. So that's the reason that I'm just going to go in blind. I have absolutely no reason to know how to get this right, except for that I do this a lot. So I'm going to look at the highest volume coins right now in our favorites list. XRP, hey, good for you. It's up from 2,000 to 4,000 BTC finally. We're so close. We're going to see that change over to 79 million very soon. So you're either going to have the same correlation or a negative correlation. Thank you, correlation. So if you see this going up here, XRP, unfortunately, has been seeing that exact same thing going down. More likely, we're going to see some of these look very similar to Bitcoin. Okay, look at this, and now this. This, and this, okay? EOS having a negative correlation. BTC to ADA, boom, and boom, okay? An over-exaggeration of that at 3,500 BTC 24-hour volume. Its volume is moving at a faster pace than Bitcoin's volume against the dollar, or measured in the USDT at this point. FET. Okay. Fuel. Okay, so it's tapping out a little bit. It's losing a little bit of energy there, which is understandable. It's very rare for something in the 200, 300 range to have a lot of volume without it starting to spike and go far beyond that. We shall talk about this in un momento. Slightly negative correlation, but it's also a time of day thing. You know, we're going into the evening. Who knows? Saturday into Sunday. Sometimes everybody says, "Oh, it's really slow that time," and then it just picks up like crazy. And you know, half the trading world missed like the most challenging upswing. So ONT still holding around 3150. We got some to clear, nothing substantial in the client version. We have some more substantial ones and higher ones that aren't going to clear right away. In the browser, we have slightly longer huddles going on there. And I mean, it's interesting because we were able to do some of our heavier trading on the September, October, November range. And that just happens to be when the negative 60% happened towards the end of that. So a lot of things that were going extremely well started to go much lower within the same week's time. We have weathered through some pretty amazing stuff, and I'm feeling increasingly optimistic. Of course, the correlation is getting well. There we go. ZIL and Quantum, both really good examples of you know, we see the negative correlation, we see the positive correlation. So a lot of what you see happening here, and we've finally breached the 79 million mark. So this one, actually, I could see getting down into the $60 million range. I believe 50 is the lowest that I've seen it, maybe 52 million. I don't have a perfect memory of when it was at its lowest, but I don't ever remember seeing it at $40 million, 24-hour volume. Which you got to think, you know, if you're on an exchange and you're making 0.2% from a buy and a sell, it's kind of a good thing when the worst you do is $40 million or $50 million times 0.2%. That's pretty cool. So 79,960. So, you know, yes, this is a slowdown for sure. But the reason that I'm here showing you this is because when we go into our live day trading, I am expecting to see a pop. I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't know which coin, but I know that these are the right conditions for seeing that kind of thing. So I want to talk a little bit, I know we did a tried and true trading update, but I want to talk to you about the importance of what it is we're trying to accomplish here with Archangel alts. Wow, that one looks almost identical to Bitcoin's, this section right here. Look right over here. Yeah. That part is, it's mirroring almost perfectly. So what is the deal with Archangel alts anyway? So as you know, I talk a lot about mass adoption. Mass adoption equals liquidity. Liquidity comes from trading on a legitimate exchange. We choose Binance. All of those things are incredibly important to understand. But we're taking a position where this isn't just about you know, building personal wealth, although that is a very important aspect of what we're trying to, you know, message. We're trying to clarify for people to be able to follow something. But day trading is not like, we've discovered this secret thing called day trading, and it's the greatest thing ever, and everybody should try to build their wealth from day trading. There's an anomaly here in day trading in the fact that we have developed a process and a system around extremely high accuracy. And everybody's looking for that, just in the same thing with, beauty and cosmetics. They're looking for that secret formula, the fountain of youth that will, help break through for everybody that wants to, look young forever. And, we found this mysterious, sea urchin that, can change your face. And I'm trying to intentionally sound silly about it, but in the financial sector, you always have what's going to be the next big thing. It's going to be the biggest thing since, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the fact that even those that are the most skeptical in the financial markets about crypto are seeing that this is an entirely new asset class, and that's language that is significant and should be something that registers with you. So mass adoption, the reason that we care about this more than ever, and we care about this right now, is because mass adoption is coming. But it can be a couple of different scenarios that bring it. And one of the better ones being that it's you and me, kid. And one of the worst ones being that it's the governments. And then the governments and the banks. And then the governments and the banks and the large corporations. And everybody's kind of handshaking with Congress and with the SEC and those who need certain approvals from those things in order to go through. Therefore, some very independently wealthy, in fact, early adopters of Bitcoin who have made an incredible amount of money. The Facebooks and the Googles and all those who kind of own the portals to the world are all going to be issuing their own blockchain and or cryptocurrencies, most likely both. And so the ideology, the idealism of crypto is decentralization. Trustless peer-to-peer, no middleman. It doesn't matter if you live in an impoverished or oppressed country, that you should be able to have the same access as anybody else. Well, that sounds fantastic, except for when those countries say Venezuela coin, Cuba coin, North Korea coin, or, I'm taking it to a slight exaggeration, but not really. I hope that you can understand that by issuing coins and saying, hey, you can be crypto and still be on the government's watch, you don't have perfect, clean, clear anonymity when it's pretty easy to follow activity. And, it's very similar to if you had a credit card, but you didn't have a name on that credit card, and you had a credit card account and you didn't have a name on that credit card account. And so all of your transactions would still be there and they would still exist. But if, let's say, a public key for XYZ coin was used by a bicycle from Germany, and so they ship it to you, well, they need to know the shipping address. So that transaction is stamped on the company's side that sold you the bike, and they're going to be required in whatever country they are in to report all of those transaction keys. So just by the very definition of that, yes, you're anonymous, but not if you want to use it. If you want to trade it directly with somebody else, you're anonymous, they're anonymous, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But guess what? Whatever that program is that you signed into is either going to be used through a Chrome extension or on your Samsung Android device or in your Apple account or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the absolute anonymity and decentralization are a little bit of a non-reality in actual use. When you use Coinbase, you're supposed to tell them, how do you plan to use these coins when you go to withdraw them from Coinbase into your whatever account. They'll say, we are required to ask you, what are you doing with it? Okay, well, I'm actually not trying to hide that we plan to move it to trade on an exchange, but I expect to, say what my profits are based on the exit trading. Now they've made it more difficult technically. They make it to where you're supposed to have to report every time you made a profit in coin. Well, okay, that's fine. Then let the CPA have the printout of those transactions and boil it down to anything that wasn't a loss. Well, isn't it convenient that we're trying to do a strategy that is based on, you're either profiting or you're holding? And we're trying to select only positions that are likely to repeat themselves and increase over time, so that if I'm not right within 10 minutes or an hour or a day, that it doesn't become a hodl until we've reached 2 weeks. But first of all, we're able to continue forward, and second of all, that we're not losing value on the market while we're holding an asset, versus a stop loss, which you would have to technically make up whatever the losses would be there. And, although that's not a problem with our accuracy level, it would be a problem with our rate of growth, the rate of circulation, our intention to grow steadily from interval to interval. So, what we are trying to accomplish here, there's an ideology, mass adoption, liquidity, anonymity, decentralization. We want to be the ones that can bring mass adoption. That mass adoption means literally if you had, let's say we had 10 million people, and each of them had $100. And so they could do, if they wanted to, they could do 2 or 3 trades on the exchange and wait for those to clear and do 2 or 3 more. That's the wonderful thing is that, yes, the rule of fifths, if you're really serious about this, everybody can use the principle of thirds, but the rule of fifths really applies for those who want to scale into their own personal exponential growth curve. Then they're going to need to be able to have the power of circulation. And you would much rather be able to continue earning 1 or 2% on your $100 investment, let's say $20 at a time, and constantly be able to circulate a portion of that. If a portion gets stuck for a day or a week or 2 weeks or 2 months, that you're still moving forward with the rest of them. The problem is that if you have less than a 95% accuracy, which 99.9% of the entire trading world are all less accurate than 80%. 80% would be off the charts. We're at 98.7%. So once again, there is an anomaly there. How do you express how unique a situation is without either sounding hypey, like, it's a lot of hype, when you are genuinely excited about it, and how do you not be boastful and want to remain humble and offering a sense of servitude to others when there's something to brag about. You are very proud of the accomplishment. So I was incredibly nervous when we first launched. Kakashi, he's like, you're too good at this, and too many people need to know how to do what you're doing. We need to do this thing. And so, my concern was, I've done this with a hyper concentration. Just, you really have to get into a zone where you are no longer having to actively think about every single thing you're doing, but you're doing it based on instinct. And so you just automatically read the right signs and act at the right pace. What happens when that becomes a social interaction where I'm actually trying to teach while I'm doing it? What happens when I'm actually trying to talk instead of just think it? And so, thank goodness there's something I enjoy talking this through, and I enjoy the idea that somebody's on the other side of that benefiting from it. So if that's the case, then swell, that's fantastic. Looks like, I wrote myself because it looks like RCN is on the run, and it is. So check me out. And so these are the things that are tricky, because I'm not just going to jump into trading and then miss the whole purpose of what I'm talking to you about in the market watch. We watch the market. I'm a market watcher. I'm a market watcher all the time. So the importance and the value of what's going on here is, I don't know how to ring a louder bell. And don't forget our hashtag crypto louder megaphone. Go and use it. Help us with this growth process, okay? Seriously, this isn't just like, get into our program and we'll make you a bunch of bucks. And it's also not just about, which coin will be 1000x next. It's not just about those things. Most people would have no clue why they should get excited about a 0.5% growth, or maybe a 1% growth, when people out there are saying, this is the next thing to go 500 times, Bitcoin's going to go from $4,000 to $7 million. Those things are very possible. But our plan for you is not to say, buy some of this and then sit for the next 3 years and hope that you guessed it right. We're trying to teach a skill where if you apply what we're doing or you follow what I'm doing, I'm going to provide more and more live day trading to our personal private group, the more that we have growth there. As our community grows, we're going to offer more of what we're here to offer. So, the Market Watch, crypto news, doing these different highlights on different coins, the spotlights, these things are going to be something we continue to offer for free. But wealth building should be about, not just how can I put myself in a better position financially for my lifetime, but how can I use that to serve others? And so we're actually taking that first step by saying, listen, we're strangers to you. You shouldn't trust us. So just look at our results. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you that I know how to trade and you should buy my course where I teach you how to trade if I can't do it myself. So come watch me trade live. You'll see me sweating through the oldies. You'll see me, sweating through the tough times and ringing a cowbell and saying woohoo when we successfully sell a position. You got to celebrate these things. Trading emotionally is bad if you're led by your emotions. Trading emotionally is good if you use them to remind yourself that you're human while you're doing this thing. Anybody that can comfortably put down $10,000 on a position and watch it go down before it goes up and not feel anything about that, I don't trust them. I don't care how much you're relying on your accuracy or stop losses or anything in the process. You need to feel the fact that you're dealing with something that is substantial, and economics are the thing that fuels civilization and society. Money is not evil. The use of money defines whether it's good or bad. And, it is a biblical reference to say that, the love of money is at the root of all evil, or, lusting after money is at the root of the entire range of categories of things that are bad. So that is to say that, if you're chasing after money because you want the money and you're greedy and you want power and you want centralization and control and you want to lord your money over other people and you want to show off and show how great your homes and your cars and your whatever else, then that leads to something that is evil. Whereas if you say, I want to be able to help fight addiction in my community, I want to help surprise those who are really making a difference with the house that they need or the car that they need, or the help to facilitate their own organization's growth. There's just so many different things that money can provide for that sweet talking and effort can't follow through on their own. So every culture is driven by their architecture, by their philosophy, by their cuisine, their culinary arts, by visual arts, by music, by poetry and novels, costumes, and what is the word I'm looking for? Fashion, yes, clothing, all these different things, religion and belief. What is the ideology that drives a society? And they will tend to live by that, but that marks our times in history. And all of these things, religion, belief, philosophy, agriculture, buildings, and all these different important things are driven by economy. And so, there are times in history where certain places are marked by poverty. They're marked by death and disease. They're marked by a lot of things that, we would all agree we'd prefer to avoid. So speaking of the upside to things, so we're still dropping in value, but we're still going up. This is that correlation where it's going to start causing things to pop. So I'm not really so much here to show, look at what's happening with this coin, look at what's happening with that coin. The overall point of the Market Watch right now, yeah, my goodness, look at that. So it's right back up to where we were. This is right where we cleared our profits the other day. That was really cool. Less than 24 hours ago. So same day, actually. Very exciting stuff going on. Let's jump in soon. Yep. So the spikes are starting to happen. That's the reason we came here. It's not an anomaly that we're getting something right. We're reading this information correctly, and I pray that the market is just headed into the direction that I think it is. But before that bull run even begins, this low volume correlation to the spikes that start happening, it is obviously for those that have dozens and hundreds of Bitcoins, it is very easy to use that correlation to spark little miniature pumps that just snowball from there. And I don't mean the illegal or improper kind that spike for 3 seconds and then take everybody's money. The kind of pumps where you put in a position and it actually has that response, whether it was intentionally motivated that way or not. So we're on the lookout for those responses to make sure that we get them right, and so by golly, we're going to do so. So this matters to us. Mass adoption equals liquidity, the crypto revolution, being thought leaders in this category. We are the ones to make a difference, and we do need your help in order for that to happen. The reason we know that we are set for this time in history to do this thing that we're trying to accomplish, because there's an innate ability there that can't be explained away any other way. Our accuracy is not some kind of sleight of hand or trick that only we know how to accidentally put things in a weird different way than anybody else places their positions. We don't have any kind of advantage over anybody else trading, but we have a process and a system that facilitates your eliminating all the things that people do wrong, so that you can recognize and use that skill. You can utilize the same capabilities that we're using to trade well, but on top of that, we seem to have an ability to operate at an accuracy that just doesn't exist anywhere, and we're doing it every day. For 6 weeks. We had one loss because of a delisting, and we made it up in a day and a half. And we had one hodl in a position in fuel. One thing that we ended up being right about that took 2 weeks to clear. Every single thing has been 100% except for the delisting that was forced upon us. So do we still have holds from before? Yes, but a lot of those are starting to clear for the first time in a while. We're getting closer and closer to our own goals where we're able to start scaling this thing on a massive level. And we're showing you the EGC and how that works. And you really need to be excited about this stuff. So if wealth building, if trying to take advantage of a window of time that is completely unprecedented, and to learn how to trade, learn a skill, and to do so, once again, at an accuracy that is unprecedented, is kind of a perfect storm in a good way. All the right things coming together at the right time with the right skills, with the right capability, and the right platform to do it on. You can, in turn, not just by benefiting yourself, but in turn, benefit the cause of what cryptocurrency can do to help people, not only for their personal wealth, but people in impoverished areas, people with oppressive governments, people who need a way to be on the marketplace and active in the marketplace without the obstruction of government intervention and tyranny. These things matter. They just do. And if you care about people, if you care about the arts or music or food or fashion, whatever sector, then this is something that kind of sort of needs to matter. And it needs to matter now. We talk about disruptive technologies in a good way, the things that are going to change a paradigm for fixing something that's broken, fixing something that we've had to accept as being the only option. All those elements are factored into what's happening with crypto. So I am not, a Mr. Beat the Crypto Drum. The only thing I care about is crypto. I am a man of faith. I am a man of family. I care about the people around me, and I believe in doing valuable things and contributing valuable things. This is where a large majority of my focus is right now, because we believe that in order to affect change in society, it's going to have to start by being an improvement over the oppressive nature of borrowing and lending and interest rates, and people being taken advantage of in their mortgages, people being taken advantage of in, you can work just enough hours to owe too much on that time that you've earned. The average person, is, living, day to day, just to be able to survive. And in thriving countries, that shouldn't be the case. In not thriving countries, there's something that can be done about it. So we are here to help you with and teach you a skill that you can use for a lifetime. And the best way to look at this is taking what day traders do, matching it to the concept of compound interest that happens over 15 to 30 years, so that you can save and retire, and trying to compress that down into about 1.5 years max. And I think that you can just watch the videos, learn from the daily process, but also learn from what we share while we're doing the more in-depth day trading live. You're going to see that we practice what we preach. We put everything out there. If I'm nervous about a position, I'll let you know. If I feel extremely confident about a position, I'll let you know. At some point, we're going to go through and start editing some of these and doing highlights from all the different positions, so people can see the results of what they didn't see when it was happening live, so they can understand that we're actually doing the things that we're trying to accomplish. And it's kind of scary to just throw it out there like that, but we have something that needs to be shared. So I hope that you take advantage of that. I hope that you will be a part of things. I'm going to check real quick to see if I'm missing any questions or anything. So let's see. All right, so it looks like we're good. So Bitcoin has made it all the way up here to 4116, and it is still dropping. So just keep your eyes on Bitcoin if you're going to be trading with us tonight. I don't know if I'm going to jump in right now immediately, or if there'll be a slight pause. But this is going to be just for our private group tonight. That's what joining the private group is about, is being able to take advantage of the live trading. So I'm going to talk more technical with you guys, and just really walk you through the steps and explain things. I may get less talky if the huge spike that I'm expecting to happen starts taking place. Right now, the only one that I see for certain is happening with RCN. But I expect to see that with Wabi, RCN, possibly some with ADA, possibly with Raven again, and CELR maybe. But we'll see. We will see. There's going to be a certain range or a category that seems to take off more than another. So since I need to pick up the phone, and since I've pretty much signed off anyway, I'm going to say goodbye for you now. And thank you for joining. Let this stuff about mass adoption and what we're trying to accomplish to help you build your personal wealth, please let that sink in. I don't like ever trying to sound like I'm trying to hype something. It's just like marketing or selling something to somebody. We want to get it through to you how important this time in history is. If at some point in time in the future you're like, yeah, I think I'd like to learn to be able to earn a few extra bucks, it might come at such a cost. It might be much more difficult to do at that time. So my spidey crypto senses are picking up that that shift is going to come very soon tonight, as far as seeing things pick up. Could be totally wrong. I'm human. But as that volume is dropping, it doesn't continue forever before something big happens. And so we're heading into a really interesting time towards sort of the late night, so 11 p.m., 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 a.m. Might get to be pretty interesting. So just keep your eyes open if you see this going down to 78.7654321, especially into the 60 million range. Expect to see some phenomenally large movement in the market. And that might be very short-lived, so you don't want to navigate it alone. Come join us. Subscribe. Like us. Follow us on our socials. Interact with us. Join our community so that we can become crypto friends. We want to discuss these things live with the real people that we're going to make a difference with. So, God bless you guys. And for now, Archangel Alts out.